Totsugeki!
Totsugeki!
Sensafugen!
There was a 50-50 chance there as soon as I started like being live that everyone just immediately went silent and no one said anything, or people kept saying shit. So it's always fun to see which scenario is going to happen. Hey everybody!
What's up, Jeremy?
Welcome back to Dungeon of the Mad Mage. We are back from break. When we left our heroes, they had been leaving the 12th floor of Undermountain, the maze level. They had been saying their goodbye, making plans, and saying goodbye to the various members of House Freth. They left Frethian territory with a small contingent of Frethian soldiers that were intended to head to the 6th level, the Skulltaker's territory, and act as liaisons, but also a reinforcing force, right? With House Freth knowing that House Avrindar had attacked the party, had attacked the Skulltakers directly, right? So that has occurred, and the party has gone through the portal and now arrived back at the 6th level of the dungeon. So you're all here. You're in Skulltaker territory. It's not long before you are picked up by a Skulltaker patrol. And then you are, greeted by the goblinoids who have a bit of a field day with this new arrival of drow soldiers. Balrin keeps order and discipline within the drow ranks without any issues, and the goblins don't do anything crazy, right? They're just kind of like very curious about these new individuals. They've spent quite a bit of time with Balrin, so they're very accustomed to him. So rather than having this newness of, oh, these are new people, the goblins have no newness and they just jump right into things, whereas the drow are just kind of like, so.
Yeah, hey guys, they're cool.
Anyways, do you guys need to do anything here? Do you have any plans here, or is this just a short stop on the way forward? What's the plan?
Did we have things to drop off for these guys?
I don't think so. We ain't really been doing nothing. We don't have anything, really. We don't even have any friggin' money.
Yeah, I guess not.
It's easy enough to get in contact with Pibble and Groin, right? There is a small kind of like welcoming Balrin back type situation. There's there's obvious levity and happiness that Balrin's returned. There's the realization, right, like that Balrin, no one wanted Balrin to leave, and Balrin didn't want to leave. So this is all working out as intended, and hopefully will be a long-standing alliance between the two factions going forward, as long as things work out well and there's no kind of like animosity bred or anything like that. So, Balrin, Pibble, Groin all kind of meet up, and you realize they're going to go through the motions of figuring out, unless you guys interfere or give specific instructions, they're going to go through the motions of hashing out what needs to be done, how to get these drow soldiers fed and roomed and, rotated into the things that need to be done around here.
No,
that's kind of what's
cool.
happening with all of them.
All right, cool. Have fun.
Ooh, what is the date? That might matter.
I think it's still the 30th, right?
I believe it is the 30th. Let's check schedule.
Last day of the moon.
The moon.
Is that... Oh. Yes, okay. So, oh, my bad. Yeah, I don't have this on the list for the schedule. That is my bad because that is incorrect. Let me look this up real quick. Bones, Pibble will pull you aside when there is an opportune moment because wait, did this not
Ruh-roh, Reggie.
happen? Yeah, okay, it definitely happened. I just didn't update it. Pibble pulls you aside and shows you, and you may have noticed this when you played as the Skull Takers, a day or two ago in game time, but several weeks ago in real life, Pibble pulls you aside to show you Rip and Tear, and Pibble has just completed Tear, and they are two bone short swords made from the mandibles of the Queen of Bones.
Oh yeah, that's good work.
That's cool.
So Rip,
Like the names.
which
the names a
Pibble
lot.
is using, is a +1 bone short sword that gives the attuned bearer +10 speed, right? So it +10 movement speed, basically. And then Tear, which Pibble hasn't given to Groin yet, but is intending on giving to Groin today, is a +1 short sword that every time the attuned bearer deals damage to an enemy, they gain 1 HP. So Pibble, as your steward in the heart of the mountain, is working to make these uncommon magic items at your behest while you are not here, in an effort to outfit the Skull Takers, right? And right now, Groin wields a +1 rapier that you all handed off to him. So in theory, they'll start doing like this series of hand-me-downs, right? Like as they create things, they will hand down various bits and gear and things like that to the other Skull Takers. Obviously, you can directly influence that by being like, hey, I want so-and-so to have such and such. But that is up to you to take a more particular hand in. Otherwise, they will continue to just kind of outfit themselves. But Pibble wanted to show off his work, so he takes you aside. Hey, boss, take a look at this, and he like whips out these two like. And when I say bone short swords, they're really like they're just mandibles of a giant snake creature. So they're like these serrated quote-unquote blades where the teeth are just the serrated edge.
So
right?
it's like weapons and grounded. It's just a piece of
it's weapons and grounded, or it's like bone equipment from Monster Hunter, right? It's that type of shit.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like
the bone tree.
It's very quintessentially like, oh, this is just a bunch of like claws and teeth. Okay, right? So yeah. Anyways,
that's awesome. These are great. I swish one around. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's well made, right? Like, it's not to your level of craftsmanship, right? Because obviously Pibble is just a steward and a burgeoning, budding craftsman compared to you. But I mean, it's good. It's useful. It'll fuck something up, you know?
Oh yeah.
And the magical properties, you realize, right? Like, Pibble has no real, like, inherent magical capabilities. So, the heart of the mountain itself is just kind of, like, imprinting these low magic properties onto the works that are being created kind of like at random, because Pibble doesn't have the expertise to guide what is going on, whereas you kind of do have that area of expertise, right? Like, you can either imprint things or guide things in an appropriate manner to be imprinted by your ally. That type of situation.
Very cool.
Moving on, is there anything else that you guys want to be doing here within the heart of the mountain? Or within the Lost levels, sorry. Or are you just heading onwards? No. Actually, I say heading onwards. Where are you heading?
I'm assuming we're going up a floor to get Willow's blessing, yeah?
I'm going to talk to Willow.
Okay.
Let's see. And then once we have that, we can take the...
Someone roll me a d20.
The wizard with staff.
Got it.
To get to 3.
Get diced.
Yeah, okay. You
Is that
are
-4?
No, this isn't an ability check. This is just a random luck check. So 17 means that as you are meeting up with the Skull Takers and exchanging a little bit of information and prepping to continue your journey northward and handing off the drow, that's an important part of this bit. Balrin and Pibble and Groin, you overhear some of their conversations, and Bones is pulled aside by Pibble, and then, they get back involved in the conversation of where are the drow going to be stationed, and Pibble and Groin are like, well, you can't have the northeast because that's where the sisters are, and as that happens, the eastern door kind of like bursts open, kind of like boom, not off its hinges or anything like that, but hard enough to like slap into the wall and make a loud noise. And Turbulence walks in and immediately like marches over to Peppa, and it gets really deep into a conversation with Peppa. And you come to find out that the Horned Sisters, Turbulence and Violence, have kind of made a little domain for themselves over the course of the last 24 hours in the ancient dwarven library to the northeast.
No.
Good choice.
Well, yeah, that's a good choice, yeah.
And then, unless you guys are wanting to do anything else, you head northward, up through the passages to the Willowwood, or toward the Willowwood.
I mean, I'm down to clown, but I figure we should get some stuff done.
It is as you come up the last little bit of the sloping tunnel towards the Willowwood. You've done this enough time that you know your way, you're familiar with the territory, right? Like you can notice differences. And the carpet of grass is a big difference into this tunnel, because previously the line of the Willowwood itself stopped, like dead-ended, a good 30 or 40 feet away from the entrance of the tunnel, right?
Okay.
And there was patchy grass here or there for another 20 feet outwards, right? But towards into the tunnel and nearby the tunnel leading downwards was stone and earth, right? A good 40 feet into the mouth of the tunnel is now covered in thick, tall grass. And you see, as you're coming up, you see hanging over the entryway of the tunnel, thick tree limbs.
All right. Cool.
How thick? Like, impassably thick?
How thick, Jeremy?
How thick? Not barring the way, but like hovering over. I mean, to point of fact, like there's obviously no way that a tree could have grown in such a place in the time since you were last here. Now, magic might change that. Who knows, right? But there was no way that a tree just naturally grew there. And there is now a large tree hovering over the entryway of this tunnel.
Wow. Nature's healing.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Okay.
Stick by it.
What do you guys do?
I don't know. We extricate ourselves from the tree.
So what we should do is cut the tree down so we can look at the rings in the middle to tell how old the tree actually is.
You want Willow to actually skin the
I push Ashes towards the tree and step away.
And so it would also be a quick way to find Willow.
It would be a very quick way to find Willow.
Yeah, I guess it would be a quick way to find Willow.
Ringing the doorbell.
PX, can you not, buddy?
Oh, he gonna.
He must.
I mean, he is, but I need him to not.
Is and he must.
Give me your manta ray. Okay, well, yeah, I guess let's. I don't know. Not harm the tree that someone has obviously put up to shield our entrance.
We will venture towards
You guys,
abode.
you guys slightly like disturbed by the initial kind of like scenario that you discover here. Nonetheless, trek your way onwards towards Willow's domain and her tower. The tree shivers as you walk past it.
Dang,
Yeah,
it
it
shivers.
You
Say
okay,
hello?
tree?
Hello, tree.
Tree?
The tree, like, there's this giant kind of like groaning, this creaking of wood as you see the tree kind of like turn slightly towards you and its branches pull apart, and you see this almost kind of like, it's only a face if you're looking for a face, right? It's not like a face, but there's like a little like knot in the wood here that could be a nose, and then maybe like a little like rotted mark here that could be an eye, and maybe this kind of like gash is a little bit of a mouth, right? Like, but the branches part and this could be a face thing kind of turns to you, and that's it.
Hello, tree.
Greetings, tree. We come in peace.
Hi, Halaster.
You hear this groaning, this creaking, and none of you speak tree. So
Actually, I believe Matashtai understands every language. Every language.
As a monk.
That's a monk thing, not a Halaster
That's a
thing.
monk thing.
I connect to their key to communicate.
Okay, cool.
Let's do that.
That is not a Halaster thing.
Matashtai, this thing doesn't have a language, so to speak, but it does communicate with its brethren in a rudimentary way, right?
Rudimentary?
And
Yeah,
it's just greeting you, right? And indicating that it guards the path.
I respond in tree form by wave.
There's some
an interpretive dance.
There's some confusion, but the message is eventually gotten across.
Excellent. I turn to the guys and say, well, we're friends. Let's go find Willow.
Cool.
Cool.
You make your way northwest
Making our way.
to the domain of Willow of the Wood, massive stone, the petrified tree in which she makes her abode. And you head on in. You are greeted by the many boughs of a Halaster. You are growled at by the figure Chrison, the displacer beast, that serves as both companion and mount for Willow of the Wood. And the Archdruid herself is there, welcoming you. She informs you that she has placed a sentinel upon the entryway, so as to help shield you from future assaults, or shield the Skull Takers from future assaults.
We saw that. Very cool.
How have they been, by the way? The Skull Takers, they've been helpful?
She will tell you that Catsup and her cavalry have been invaluable in chasing down poachers. And that Oz has been a studious and devout acolyte, and is very eager to learn. Maybe a little too eager to learn. A little involved, maybe a little much. But, you know, definitely really actually let's see how good she's feeling today. I will allow you all to promote one person to roll me a persuasion check.
I say since
I
this
probably should not.
No, not Matt.
for Skull Takers.
I mean, I have a plus 14. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, I have it.
God.
Okay, fine. I'll do it if you really insist.
Ezra.
Is that the call?
Yes.
That's the call.
I think that's the call. A 32.
Yes, 32 will do.
It might not do. We don't know.
During the conversation, Willow lets slip. Probably it's Halaster lets slip, and then Willow confirms that she and Oz have been. She has been providing lessons to Oz. Oz is growing as a druid, and the subject was broached about awakening Big Beak. And that the two of them talked about it, and that Oz has now made it his goal, right, to become powerful enough as a druid to awaken, to cast the magics necessary to awaken Big Beak.
Oh, okay.
Does awakening Big Beak entail? Like, what does that mean?
Awakening a creature grants them intelligence and sentience, basically, right? Like beyond the ken of a normal creature. So it would be.
Got it.
It would be
So like Big Beak could be like, "Yo, I'm an owlbear. What's up?"
Turning Big Beak from a pet or trained animal into a entity that can make its own choices and decisions and speak, you know, potentially, as long as there's a language there, etc. Yeah. So
they do it, and he's
like,
"Why did you curse me with this knowledge? Take it back."
Many of the creatures that you have met within the Willowwood are awakened creatures, right? Like, they are creatures that have a sentience beyond the normal kin of regular creatures in and of themselves, right? Halaster and other trance, for example, are awakened creatures. So that's just something that Willow kind of like mentions, or it gets dropped by Halaster, and then Willow kind of like openly discusses it with you all because she's in not a good mood, but a
Ever?
willing to converse mood. She's happy to see your safe return, and she is happy
so
that
nice.
the Skull Takers are doing well. She does have bad news, and she will show you the 3 bodies of the goblins that were discovered within the Willow Wood that had been slain by the drow that attacked the Skull Takers.
Oh, earlier.
Yes. And so
But these were not parts of Ketchup's cavalry, if memory
no,
serves.
these were
These are the guys
the
from fucking the school.
these were the goblins that you had freed from Dwemercore, from the kind of like jails of Dwemercore, and you
no.
had sent to the Willowwood with the intention of going to the Skull Takers, but they never made it because they were intercepted by the Drow and slain. So Willow has taken their bodies, and you see each of them is in this kind of like little kind of like casket, a bed of soil and flowers and vines and things like that. And each of them has been dressed and their wounds tended to, and they're dead, but their decay has been halted for whatever purpose the Skull Takers might wish. She doesn't know them, but she's basically treating them as kind of like honorary Skull Takers, and she's intending on sending them down to the Lost Levels for the Skull Takers to do whatever it is they wish to do with them. But right now, right, like the Skull Takers have been in the Lost Levels for like less than a fucking month, right? Like they don't have any traditions, any rituals when it comes to the death or birth of
Grand
someone,
feast,
right? Like they don't fucking know yet. So this is another thing that you might influence if you so choose. Otherwise, something will naturally develop as this situation kind of like unfolds.
Jake, were you implying Grand Feast as in they eat the dead?
Oh God! Free
Grand
food!
feast.
They're goblins.
Back on the menu, boy.
Return to your kin. We eat you.
I didn't catch that initially, but I'm glad that it was reiterated. Very nice.
I was okay with it flying under the radar, but whatever.
If nothing else is suggested, that absolutely might be what ends up happening.
I think that's the.
Goblin.
I feel like that's
Okay, but here's
goblin-y.
the requirement though. If that's like their cultural view on death, I feel like they're gonna like cook it up real nice. Like they use all special spices to cook up their friends, so that they're delicious.
The Pie King is gonna be all involved in this shenanigans, right?
Pie
Salt,
King.
Salt is gonna be all up in this shit, making sure this is tasty.
It's either they eat the goblins or they bury them in the fungal farm to then eat them later.
To then eat the goblins, yeah, right. Either that or they find like, I don't know. I guess actually, now that I'm thinking about it, when I'm sitting here, like, the Skull Takers have quite a few options, right? Like they could cannibalize, they could bury, they could cremate, right? They have the furnace, right? They could cremate. They have like the never-ending hole scenario.
God! Just drop the body.
Yeah,
on the garbage. Yeah.
You know, like they've got a couple of potential options here. So
I don't know. Like cannibalism, and maybe they are the Skull Takers. Maybe
yeah,
the
maybe then they turn the bones of
keep
their
the skull of
allies into
every
cool
Skull
equipment.
Taker. That would be pretty cool.
Oh, that's what they do. They wear the skull of their friend, like Cubone wearing the skull of its mother.
It's a helmet.
That just got dark. That just got dark.
Well, just because I don't deal in humanoids doesn't mean they don't.
No more dark than Pokemon.
That feels pretty apropos.
Trust me, Pokemon gets pretty fucking dark.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking dark. All right, cool.
My favorite Pokemon is Nina Tucker.
Get out of here.
Fuck off.
You saw that like within the last 2 weeks. Fuck off.
I did, and it's hilarious. I love it.
It is very funny, but fuck you. Okay. Willow knows why you're here. Freely grants you her blessing. No need to ply the relationship or anything at this point. You all are in good standing. Etc. etc. Is there anything that you want to do or try to accomplish, or is it just meet and greet, grab the blessing, and move on?
Yes.
Yeah. Do we have any reason to like explain to her what's going down?
I don't think so. I think she's aware that they're dickheads.
All right. Away we go.
And away we go. Okay, you guys head to... Actually, where the fuck are you heading? Are you going, what, Dead Tree Portal to Floor 2? Is that the plan?
No, I think we're going to Sargoth to talk to the Legion, yeah?
Yeah, but that from here, that requires going to 2.
2, then we gotta drop down to 3.
No.
Then...
We have the Dragon Gem portal that goes directly to 3 from 6, right?
That's from 6, though.
We're-
We can't get...
The blessing
Right,
of an
5.
entity only works upon the floor in which their domain is, right? Like that's part of the blessing is they're basically the most powerful entity within the domain. They control the domain, and thus they can grant you their blessing to travel freely from it.
The wizard with staff portal that goes from 5 to 3.
Do we know how to open the wizard with staff?
Yeah. We have.
I think that was the wand one, right?
Dead.
Oh, that's the one in Willow's tower, right?
So yeah, we can't. We're not taking that one.
I mean,
we could inquire.
She knows you've been there before. You just have to.
We've
you
seen
just have to
the
broach
proverbial skeletons in our closet.
Yeah. She knows. I mean, you came out of the secret door that leads up through her chambers.
Yeah, we told her we saw. We just don't care.
I mean,
you just know that it was like it was a tentative kind of like touchy moment when that happened. So it's up to you whether you broach whether that's a viable passage or not.
She's kind of in a good mood. I think maybe we don't piss her off.
I think we just go up and then come back down. Like whatever, man.
Okay, all right. Sounds like a plan. I need someone to roll me a d20.
Jay.
Oh, I'd already typed it.
14.
A 14. Nothing happens. 14. How dare you? Situations.
I was just listening to that today.
Were you? I haven't listened to that in a while. Maybe I'll listen to that tomorrow. Okay. You all head over. You head through the Willowwood. The forest respects you, keeps its boundaries. You are not accosted. You, in fact, feel the presence of creatures around you. You hear the giant bats overhead that kind of like herald your location, your presence, your direction. Kind of warning the forest that you are coming and to make way for you. You head over to the ruined gatehouse, strewn about with broken furniture. You find within a piece to touch upon the dead wood gate. It blossoms in silvery bloom, and once more you all step into the gate, and you're back in the fucking arcane riverways of the bloodline of the mountain itself. And you feel that presence again, once again. But it's been a passage of an hour, maybe at most, since you arrived within the Skulltaker's domain and spent time with them, and then headed upwards to the Willowwood and conversed with her. Maybe an hour and a half. So the presence has nothing new with which to impart to you or try to discuss with you. You just feel this kind of like this blossom of warmth and protectiveness and concern as you guys once again face down against the shadow. I need another D100 from everyone. You want to roll above 100, or you want to roll above 100?
Lord.
God, you want to roll above a 50?
8. I rolled an 8.
Oh,
I rolled a 5.
5. Oh,
Wow. Statistically unlikely.
11.
What the fuck, guys? We all failed.
We are fucked.
so I've been slowly revealing mechanics to you guys over the course of
Stop, dude.
months. And I feel like at this point I feel comfortable just telling you. When you have a blessing, right? You increase, right, the overall chances of just bypassing the shadow entirely, right? If everyone rolls above a 50, you can bypass the shadow entirely with a blessing. Okay?
Oh.
So what happens when all of us roll below a 50?
The thing about rolling underneath a 50 is the shadow really only narrows in on one target.
Hi.
So the target that rolls the lowest is the target that it hones in on. And believe me, there was stiff competition this time. We're on the full face cam, so people can't see all of the rolls that have been happening. I do apologize for that. I actually, Jay, I've been talking about you. I've been thinking about this. I want to make for the full face cam. I want to make a section with just like a roll spot,
roll 20
right?
chat.
Yeah, exactly. So we might circle back around on that, where it's just in the
yeah.
center portion, where it's just like here's where the rolls happen, so people can see. Anyways, Bones rolled an 8, Matashtai rolled an 11. And Ezra rolled a 5, and Ashes rolled a 45. No one rolled above a 50, but there was stiff competition for the fucking lowest roll on this one. Ezra.
Love you guys. What am I rolling next?
The darkness pulses. You feel yourselves released into the arcane streamways. You see the eyes blossom across. You feel that kind of like tingle up the back of your spine. And the hands, the shadow, reach out towards you. I need you to roll a D100. You want to roll high.
So another 5?
Oh.
What about 28?
28's not great. 28 is definitely not great. Okay.
So
I rolled my 100 at this point.
Is it like too soon to ask if it's like like a wild magic table, or if it's like degrees of bad based on how high or low you roll?
I feel as if I have been giving you all plenty of data over the course of the last months. So whether you're tracking that data or not is entirely up to you.
Okay.
All right, chat. I expect a table within the next 2 weeks.
Oh, God.
So we know what's going on.
They just tell you exactly. It's just like,
bots.
this is exactly what happens when you roll X thing.
What chat? We're the only ones that watched this, right?
I mean, there's
There
a
are
surprisingly
there's
a surprisingly growing amount on YouTube that are watching this. Like, I'm actually starting to get upwards of like 50 views on each video.
Jeez.
It's very strange to me. I don't know
And
what's
I
happening.
only have 10 YouTube accounts, guys.
See, he's only got the 10, right? Like, I don't know.
Son.
Anyways, all right. Oh my.
He says, "Oh my God."
Can I be a contrarian? That would be fun.
Oh, I gave you incorrect information, but that's okay.
Uh-oh.
No, it's
I
not
gave you
fun because then
incorrect
Zach will stab
information,
you in the face.
but that's okay because it still applies in this situation because Ezra rolled a 5 and Bones rolled an 8 and Matt rolled an 11. So it still applies. It's not a under a 50 if you're doing a blessing. It's under a 25 if you're doing.
So Ashes was a positive.
Ashes was actually okay. Ashes was safe. Yes. However,
Buddy.
I'm real tired out of nowhere. What the frick, man?
Sorry, my dude.
Getting old.
Aren't we all?
Yep.
Jake,
What's up?
roll me a 1d18.
That's a number.
Right? I feel like I like to just make up numbers because we use a VTT and I can ask you to roll anything. Okay, a 6 is... Aha, okay. That is...
Ashes rolled a 1 out of 1.
I both critically succeeded and failed at the same time.
Now roll me another D100. Do you want to roll a 75 or
it
up?
shows as green, so it's only a critical success.
75 or up is good. Sorry, they are having their own conversation.
You want to roll me a 1D100 and you want to roll a 75 or up?
How about a 57?
That happens. All right.
Cool.
It's the same numbers, just backwards.
Yeah.
Wonderful. 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 Absolutely wonderful.
Is it though?
Wonderful.
I don't feel like it's actually wonderful based on your tone.
I think
Wonderful. Dark hands cover you. I just saw the rename Ashes to Bashes. I fucking hate it. What? I'm not refunding those points. It's not possible. You lose those points. Go fuck yourself.
I regret nothing.
I need to start using them all more often.
God. Ezra. Dark hands shriek out, covering you with darkness. You feel madness streak through you. You cannot move. You cannot breathe. You feel the blood pumping through your veins. And you hear this whirring, howling sound outside of the darkness. And it reminds you of the whirling, howling sound of the storm the night your life changed. And then the hands pull back and you're released. And you float forward along with the rest of your allies. And you feel you all shunted through the portal onto the second level of the dungeon, the arcane chambers.
Been a while. So I could.
Weird question for you, Jeremy.
Yep.
Since I was so young, does that mean anything to me?
How young were you?
Like
I thought
2?
you were a couple years old.
I was like 2 or 3. I was past.
Okay. I mean, so I'll ask you, right? Like
I was very young.
Some people,
I was past
some people
dependency.
have memories of their childhood that young, and some people do not. Right? What do you think? What does Jake think Ezra is the type of person to be? Right? Like, would Ezra have a defining memory from that time period? Would it be the wind, or would he not have something? Or if he did have a memory, would it be of something else?
I mean,
Did I have a stroke and miss something?
Yes.
are you drunk?
No, not currently.
So I could see if because of what happened to him, maybe he doesn't remember that particular night, but after knowing what happened, like the
Maybe it's
next
like a
bad storm, like just was like a
maybe
PTSD.
it's like a phantom memory, that type of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. That's kind of
I
more.
feel you. Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. It's not actually an active memory of the event, but it's a memory of being told about the event and an interpretation of what that would be like, that type of scenario.
Right.
Perfectly valid. So yeah, I think it's that type of scenario then, right? Like it's reminiscent of and at least evokes that concept rather than actually being a straight memory. Yeah, exactly, right? Like you hear the howling of a storm of the likes of which you would assume is the storm of the night that took your parents from you. You were all shunted out onto the second floor of the dungeon. Face to face with a gaunt figure.
Sorry, but do we notice when an ally gets like fucked up by the shadow when we're traveling, or is that
It's groped by the shadow?
Oh yeah. Each of you, it's this kind of like ooh. We've never really discussed this, have we? It's a horrendous event. Yeah, you are all fully aware of you're traveling together, kind
Literally,
of like
we see Ezra just get molested.
you're floating through this kind of like river of arcane energy, and you have no control over how fast or slow you're going. And sometimes whoever's first gets picked and grabbed by the hands, and sometimes whoever's last gets picked and grabbed by the hands, right? And sometimes no one gets grabbed by the hands. Always, every time you've experienced it, so whoever is grabbed by the hands, either a light shines out from them and the hands are repelled, or the hands cover them for a while and then release them, right? But you all can look back over your shoulders as the current kind of like takes you and carries you on and see this happening. You're just powerless to do anything about it. Or so you have seemed to be powerless to do anything about it.
Well, I mean, the second we come out and we know that this happened, be like, Ezra, are you okay? Like, what's up? How do you feel?
You hear this voice, this crotchety voice goes, "I'm sure he's fine." And you look and you see this gaunt, robed figures that is covered in eyes, right? Like this robe covered in eyes and this bushy white beard, and set inside the face of the Halaster that stands before you is a singular giant eye.
The Nothic.
The Nothic? There was a Nothic here?
The Nothic was back in the school.
Yeah, there was a Nothic receptionist.
It was.
I can't see nothing.
Your tokens aren't
Also, the
on the
Nothic
thing.
didn't have a robe
It's all just
or
roleplay.
a beard.
No, it was just
Until shit gets to the point to where it's more than roleplay. But you guys have just stepped out of the Deadwood Gate.
Oh, okay.
All right. Who are you?
What you mean, who am I?
I mean, who are you?
I'm Halaster.
Of course you are.
Halaster.
All right. Mm-hmm. Cool.
You know what? That was our bad for asking. That was
Yeah, I regret that.
I don't regret it. I think it's awesome. I give him a fist bump. I try to give him a fist bump.
He has eyes for hands, and you just squish him in the eyeball.
Ow!
He fist bumps you.
God!
He fist bumps you, and I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, that's
It
concerning.
hurts so bad.
I've lost my sheet again. Very good. Like that. I love it when that happens. Hold on. My sheet's reopening. There it is. Wisdom saving throw. There it is. It's an 8. Oh, it's a 10.
10, wonderful. This creature fist bumps you, nods at you, and then it begins speaking. And when it speaks, it just says aloud, a secret of yours that I wish you to share with everyone now.
What?
A secret of mine?
Yep.
I don't have any secrets. What do you mean? I'm a kind and open cat.
Everybody has secrets. Bones?
No,
What's
not
up?
me.
There's got to be something.
Give us them deets.
Bones took a potty in the bedroll last night. I don't know. There's anything and everything. It doesn't have to be a big secret. It's just a secret.
Cats don't pee where they sleep.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, no one does on purpose.
You pottied in Ash's bedroll last night. I don't know. Like,
He would have caught it.
You caught me off guard here. I don't know. I don't have any secrets.
Make something up. Let's go.
make something up.
Okay.
Just know that whatever you make up, I'm writing down for future
Instantly
reference.
canon.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
it's canon.
Yeah, I don't care. Oh yeah, I'm from a kind and loving family, and both my parents are alive.
Oh, wonderful.
you go.
How
Wonderful.
rare.
Halaster fist bumps you and says, "How interesting that both of your parents are alive and that they both love you. That's wonderful. And yet you set out on an adventure anyway and left them behind. I wonder if they're decrepit and aging and dying now."
All right, well, that's terrible. Thank you for
He
that.
turns his gaze towards the rest of you three.
Got Debbie Downer here.
I'm good. Let me get going.
You realize, right, like, this is a small hallway, and this Halaster creature just kind of, like, spreads his arms and goes, "Oh, what's the rush?
I walk up on the ceiling.
Hug." Oh, what? What the fuck? All right, well,
It's
he's
really
gone.
not that bad.
He
Just
looks
touch
back.
on it.
He looks back at Ezra and Ashes, and he goes,
I jump over him with my lichen. How tall is he?
"Roll me an athletics check.
Because I think I can. I guess
A DC 15.
That is athletics. I slipped. And I stumble
No, absolutely.
Right
You
into
jump
his
right the
arm.
fuck over him. You absolutely clear him. He's not a big creature. You spring over him. It's just as you're springing over him, you're like, oh, and there's this slow motion moment where he kind of like reaches up and you feel this kind of like brush of weird fingertips on your knee as you're like sailing over him, right? And you look down and you look directly into that big eye. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw at disadvantage because you failed this athletics check.
Yeah, he's still smooth.
16.
16 is still pretty fucking good. You feel this entity clawing within your mind at your secrets, and you're able to resist. And you land behind. There's a clatter, right? And Halaster turns and looks at you and goes, "Oh, well, that's no fun." And then he turns and looks back at Ezra. He says, "You're not having a good day, are you?"
Yeah, no, I'm a little flush after events. I am very familiar with the second floor. Yes.
I mean, assumingly, yeah. You guys spent a
fucking dimension door.
you guys
Yep,
spent a lot of time here.
I'm gonna turn around. I'm gonna flip my cape of the mountebank, and I'm just gonna dimension door about I don't know, 100 feet away from this motherfucker.
What is the Cape of the Mountebank allow you
It's
to
a
do?
dimension door. It's a free dimension door.
Does it cast the spell Dimension Door?
I believe so.
Yes, I think it does.
Counter them. Can you counter spell an item?
spells?
I don't think you can use it to cast the dimension door spell.
It depends on the specification of what it says. If an item says you can use it to cast a spell, then you're still casting the spell. Matashtai goes to counterspell you. Technically, he's right next to Bones, who is a mage slayer. So, Bones, you could start cutting a bitch in response to this.
No, he's cool. I'm not gonna cut him.
Okay.
Wow.
It counterspells your dimension door.
It's a 4th level spell.
Oh, is it a 4th level spell?
Yeah.
I thought dimension door was a 3rd level spell.
No, dimension door is 4th. Otherwise, I would have just thunderstepped and exploded
dimension
all
is
these
a 4th level
motherfuckers.
spell. Okay.
Yep.
I've got to roll. Ba-ba-bum. Roll 1d20 plus 2. He rolled a 3. Ezra's gone. Ezra's just fucking gone.
Yep.
Okay. Matt walks over him. Ashes jumps over him and succeeds. Bones shares with the party that his parents love him and are alive, and maybe that in and of itself is a bad thing because maybe he abandoned them. Who knows? Maybe not.
Yeah, it wasn't bad until he made it bad.
It's not a thing. Things aren't bad. Leave me alone. Why are you asking? Ezra is gone.
Flipped his cape and said, "Fuck this, I'm out."
And by Ezra is gone, I mean I need someone to roll me a d20.
Okay. / roll d20. Damn, it even works with caps.
Fantastic. 14. Ashes, Matashtai, Bones. Unless you're just wanting to converse with Halaster more, you make your way away from this strange creature that pries upon your secrets. Doesn't seem threatening,
hey man,
necessarily.
What's your deal? Like, what's up?
What do you mean? From? What's up?
I don't know. We've come through this gate like a lot, and you weren't here. So, like, what's your deal?
Oh, I'm just around, hanging out, looking for stuff.
Doing what? What stuff? I know stuff. I like stuff. What stuff?
What kind of stuff?
I don't know. What stuff are you looking for?
Make me another wisdom saving throw.
Okay. Wisdom of 6.
Give me another secret. Said aloud.
I don't really have a problem using humanoid bones.
Oh, it's just a thing. Bones is it's just like I don't actually care. I just say it so that it's a thing.
Yeah, polite society.
You Matashtai and Ashes, you hear Halaster say, "Oh, that's interesting. How strange. So you don't actually care if you incorporate humanoid bones into your works. It's just kind of a thing that you tell everyone else so that they're less squeamish about what you're doing. Cool. Very cool."
Yeah, I guess.
And then he just looks at you and he goes, "I like to collect secrets."
No. All right, then.
They're not secrets if you immediately tell them to people.
That's the fun part.
Well, then you're not.
All right, well, I'm gonna leave now.
It's a little overt. I'm just saying.
You say that, and Halaster has a moment of like internal conflict where it's unsure whether it's collecting secrets or whether sharing secrets is actually the opposite of collecting secrets, and you send it into a momentary like moral quandary, existential crisis. Yeah, absolutely. And it is in that period that Matashtai, Ashes, and Bones are able to escape away from this entity. And they head southward because they're planning on going to the Sargoth level. And lo and behold, they run into Ezrah, who's waiting by the entrance for them, having wanted apparently to expend a usage of a magic item rather than risk sharing a secret with this creature.
He said, fuck that.
Yep.
Oh,
Wow. Kind of messed up, brother.
Cool. Okay.
And definitely looks completely normal and not flush at all.
You guys are able to make your way down to the Sargoth level. Without any issue.
Yeah. What is it you need?
Attention 24/7 without fail.
Well, he is a bulldog.
He is a creature.
Everyone just wants to be loved.
Everyone just wants to be loved. Let's be honest. Everyone just wants to be loved. Okay. You guys make your way down to the Sargoth level, assuming that you're just heading straight towards
Legion.
I say assuming that you're heading straight towards anything. You don't make it all the way down the stairs into the ancient temple complex before you are halted by a guard post of the Legion. The Legion has, without the influence of House Avrindar, without the Skull Takers occupying specific territory, without the pressures of the Sargoth Coven, or the pressures of the Xanathar Guild, and in fact their ranks bolstered by refugees from the Xanathar Guild, the forces of the Legion have swollen to encompass the entirety of the Sargoth level. So you don't make it fully into the Sargoth territory before you are now on the Legion's doorstep. You're recognized. Your entry is tallied, right? Just like any others, but you are not stopped to fill out information or anything like that. And you're given escort to take you wherever you wish to go within the territory of the Legion, so that you don't have to suffer questions at every checkpoint or anything like that.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, well, we want to go to the command post.
Okay, yeah, easy enough. You guys
The
make
war
your
room.
way through the eastern Stromkolder ruins, south past the previous territory of House Avrindar, into the southern expanse near the river, and then back up into the western Stromkolder ruins into the Legion's hold, Azraq's hold, the Legion territory proper. You are greeted. Your arrival is sent ahead of you by runners, and you are greeted by Rolvik, the Legion commander, the captain, Hobgoblin, one of the several Legion commanders, but the individual that you had a particular bond with, and the one whose room contained the Dragon Gem Gate, right? Rolvik comes to you, takes over your escort, and chats with you as you're heading up to Azraq's Feast Hall. And in kind of under hushed tones, Rolvik tells you, "It's good you're here. Things are getting a little concerning. After everything that's happened, you would think that the Legion would be in the best state it's ever been, but
I would think that, yeah.
the amount of goblins and bugbears that have come into the Legion's fold since the fall of the Xanathar is incalculable. Their filth covers the streets, and in point of fact, as you're walking through the streets of Azraq's hold, the western Stromkolder ruins, you see there's trash. There's like actual litter filling the streets, which was a very uncommon thing to witness in the previous legion's reign, right? And Rolvik goes on to describe to you that they're just it's not an emergency per se, but they're having a lot of issues with so many bodies, so many refugees suddenly flooding in from the Xanathar Guild's downfall, that it's almost a scenario of their own success hurting them, right? In the past, the hobgoblins were, if not a majority, they were a large portion of the overall population of the Legion. Now the hobgoblins, who are the more disciplined individuals, are a minority of the Legion, and there's a shit ton of goblins and a smaller faction of bugbears, and the goblins are disorderly and eating all the food and leaving trash everywhere, and the bugbears are kind of like a little persnickety, and they keep on like starting little rebellions within little like uprisings within the territory, just because bugbears are like, I'm big, I'm strong, fuck following the rules of some other guy, right? Like, why would I do that? Listen to me, goblins. And then 20 goblins listen to him and they have an uprising, right? So the Legion's actually in this kind of situation where it's a little like, oof, right? Like, they're failing from their own success. And Rolvik, he doesn't ask you for anything, right? He just kind of like informs you of this on your trip, almost as if informing a superior of the situation that has developed while that superior has been away.
Okay, so is all this happening because these goblins are shitty people, or is it just overcrowding?
Are you asking that of Rolvik,
yes,
or are you positing that yourself? So you're asking for Rolvik's opinion. Rolvik,
yeah, like, are they just like bad because they're like from the Xanathar and they don't care about nobody but themselves, or like what's up?
Roll me a d20.
Okay. D20.
Rolvik looks at you and he says, and you see he kind of like he doesn't want to say it, because it's kind of clear in this conversation that he's not a fan of a lot of the goblins and the mess that they're making, and he thinks that they're disorderly nits, right? That need to have some discipline.
Yeah, but he also knows that I'm the leader of a goblin tribe.
And he says that he thinks it's both, but he thinks it's mostly that space and food are an issue, and that if it weren't so much of an issue of space and food, that the Legion would probably be able to enforce order more so. So either the Legion needs more space and more food, or they need less goblins. The bugbears are kind of a different problem, right? Like, they might just need to be taken care of slowly but surely until there are less bugbears, because the bugbears are just kind of assholes. You know, they're strong, and that in and of itself is a problem in this society, right? It's like any creature that is strong in this type of society eventually gets to the conclusion of like, me strong, why me take order? You take order. I got big stick. And the hobgoblins are like, no, that's not how this fucking works here. You know? So yeah, anyways, that may not be the case, but that is Rolvik's opinion, and that is what he tells you.
All right, well noted.
Okay.
Very good.
And then you are led through the filthy streets of Azrok's Hold. You see a couple of different altercations as you're traveling, right? Like no armed conflicts between the Legion and anybody else, but like you see scuffles of like goblins fighting each other in the streets over things, or you see one particular scenario where like a little makeshift tavern, which you recall there being no real tavern within the domain of the Legion prior to this. There was a hall, aside from the feast hall of Azraq, there was a hall where the other legionnaires ate and drank, and there was alcohol as a part of that, but it was kind of like as a reward for good behavior, right? There's now like this little makeshift tavern, and a bugbear stumbles out covered in like 7 goblins that are like pulling his hair and banging on him and shit like that. And it turns into an altercation where a couple of legionnaires have to get involved and subdue the situation, right? And then you make your way into actual Matashtai. Bones to Jones is just such a tame name change. It's just such a like Jones compared to the other ones.
What's happening?
Yeah. Mitch paid some channel points in the fucking channel to change Ash's name to Bash's, and so Jay changed Matt to Shat, and then Jake was like,
Nice.
I would like to rename Bones to Jones. And Ezra's is just such a tame one compared to the other ones.
I feel like
Anyways.
it has a bigger implication than the rest of them, though,
Okay.
knowing what he is.
Maybe. Everyone, you make
I'll
you're led your way to Azraq's Hold. The feast hall is even when you arrived the first time that you were here and the Legion was at its weakest point, half of its territory, half of its prior territory taken over by House Ovrendar, you have never encountered as dour a mood that is hanging over Azraq's feast hall as the one that is currently there. And it is just it's not a mood of like defeat, but it's just a sour mood. Like everyone in here is just in a bad mood. Your arrival is announced. There is a fanfare. People seem genuinely pleased and happy that you have arrived. Lurkana walks in shortly after you arrived, seemingly having been informed of your arrival, and coming to meet you. Azraq, in his full black plate, greets you from his throne, and a space is made for you as high members of the Legion at the feast hall, and it's made unbegrudgingly, right? Like the people who have to leave the feast hall don't leave the table. They don't leave begrudgingly. They leave happily. They're like, they clean their spots off, they grab their plates, and they're like, yeah, come sit in my seat, right? Like there's almost like a kind of like a competition to be like, I give my seat to Ashes, I give my seat to Bones, right? Like that kind of situation. But even in that scenario, the guards around the periphery, Throat Snapper and Gorger, the wargs, right, that guard the entryway into the feast hall, they're just dour. They're just all sour pusses right now. Everyone just feels like this sucks. Everything sucks right now.
Very good. Everything.
I mean,
We don't like anything.
how rump.
So,
so,
what do you guys do?
you say, oh hey, how's it going?
Oh, you know. Are you talking? Who are you talking to?
I don't know. Everybody?
Just loudly. If you're talking to kind of like the feast hall, you get this kind of like half-hearted cheer, right? That they're like, "Ah, we're Legion!" But you can tell it's half-hearted, right? Like they're like putting up appearances, but it's obvious that people are a little like exhausted or not happy with the situation as it currently stands.
Is there like a bunch of goblins in here?
There aren't a bunch of goblins in here. There are goblins in here. There are goblin warriors of the Legion, right? Like they use the goblins. I say use the goblins. Goblins are a part of the Legion, and they operate as irregular troops within the Legion, right? More skirmishers and things like that. And there are honored, respected goblin members of the Legion, but there aren't a whole crap ton of them. They are a minority within the actual Legion itself, whereas the populace, the general populace of the goblinoids, has boomed here in recent history.
I see. Okay, all right then. Sounds good.
You know, it didn't ever strike me that there were people in the Legion body that were basically just civilians, you know?
Oh yeah, there's the Legion from a military standpoint is one of those scenarios of almost kind of like the way that it's portrayed is almost kind of like that Roman army that's in foreign territory, right? So it tries to be self-sufficient, it tries to make its own buildings, do its own work, its own labor, etc., etc. But in reality, there's also like an entire like if there's 100 legionnaires, there's 100 or more non-legionnaires that are doing other things, right?
They're just being people.
Well, being people, maybe not so much, but working for the Legion, feeding the Legion, etc., etc., yes. And that's kind of like, you can find out pretty easily, that's part of the disconnect, that this influx isn't really a part of the Legion. They're just feeding off the Legion and living in the Legion's territory. And that in and of itself is kind of becoming a problem, because there's not enough of the Legion, right? Like, to contain or to indoctrinate or bring into the fold this many bodies all of a sudden, right? It's the growth is too fast for the Legion to handle.
I see.
Then this is likely not going to be sustainable.
Yeah, it didn't sound sustainable. Okay, well, I will get up and make my way over towards Azrock.
I go with.
Tag along.
You approach, and as you approach, Azrock raises his. He has this kind of like he drinks from a goblet, right? Like this regular like goblet, but he has a toasting, like an honorary kind of like goblet, made of gold and gemstones that's used for, recognizing figures and making speeches within the Legion and stuff like that. And as you approach, right, like he raises the honorary goblet in honor of you being here, of being a powerful part of the Legion.
All right, I raise my little cup to him. I have a cup now. I'll raise it.
Nice, awesome.
Anything with it?
It's just a cup I picked up. I picked it up off the table on the way here.
Lurkana steps over. Rolvik is nearby, right, but not intruding upon the conversation. So you're in front of the feast hall, but you have approached Azrock and Lurkana to where you could speak with them privately if you so chose, or you can speak with them publicly.
I'm going to speak publicly for a second. I'm just going to be like, hey, we are coming to report on a potential threat to the Legion and to update our status. They're in.
Anyway, the feast hall falls silent, right? Every ear is now listening to this situation. A high-ranking member of the Legion has just announced that there may be a new enemy at the Legion's door.
We have located the stronghold of House Alvrindar. And I'll just be honest, they're real unhappy with us. You know, we've killed many of their captains. We killed their High Inquisitor. And they have become bold enough to use the portals to attempt to hunt both us and my clan.
There's a murmur that kind of ripples through the feast hall, and you guys are familiar enough with the Legion at this point, right? Like, you know, the Legion is discipline is their thing, right? So when a murmur goes through them, it's an intentional thing, right? Like, it's not like, oh, everyone starts chattering amongst themselves. It's like a moment is allowed, this kind of like permissible recognition is allowed
like amen in church
to roll to roll through the feast hall, and then Azrox raises a gauntleted fist, and the murmur quiets immediately, right? And he gestures to you to continue.
Anyway, so you know, with our strikes, I feel they become more desperate, and desperation, you know, leads to them doing stupid things like, oh, I don't know, attacking seats of power. As such, we're going to war. We're gonna take care of this.
Azrock, you say that, and Azrock stands. And as he stands, you hear seats creak, scratch across the stone floor, and every individual not standing in Azrock's feast hall is now standing.
Okay.
He waits. He doesn't stop you from speaking. He just stands, and the entire feast hall stands in response.
As honored members, as members of the Legion, we would ask for your support to destroy this enemy, this common enemy. That's what I say.
Lurkana steps forward, and she reaches down to her side, and you hear the kind of like that quintessential like shing, right, as she pulls her sword free of its scabbard, and then you hear that same sound, but like 30-fold behind you as every other legionnaire pulls their weapon free of its scabbard, and Azrock, still in full black plate armor, you can't see a single inch of flesh on him, right? Standing there, almost half your height, Bones, right? Because even as a hobgoblin, I don't think Azrock is that tall, right? And Bones is a giant of a fucking cat man.
I'm tall cat.
Right?
I'm not one cat. It's like real long.
Yep, long cat. Azrock just stands there for a moment, looks at you, and just says very matter-of-factly, "The Legion prepares for war." And I think, honestly, that's a pretty good place for us to end tonight's episode.
Hell yeah.
War.
Regardless of the issues that the Legion now faces, Azrock, Lurkana, the commanders of the Legion, are willing to throw in with the allies and members of their Legion that they have made in the past. We'll have to see how other things develop on our next episode. But for now, you have gained at least the immediate support of the Legion in your upcoming campaign against House Avrendar. So,
yeah, war!
That will be it for tonight's episode of Dungeon of the Mad Mage. We'll see you next week, hopefully, for whatever the fuck happens next. Because I don't even know what's gonna happen these days. Because we're off script. But bye, everybody. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.